I would say, I think if I was like to sort of like put an overarching term to the process, it's been a resilient process, and we are finding our way through it, just as perhaps like the migrant journey has to constantly find its way, the migrants through the path for it. So.
It was pretty much like Carlos and I did one show, worked really well together, and from then on, like we just continued, and it was on to the next. And so we instantly started developing this show, and we had not much when we went into developing the show, and then a lot of that original material went into grants and pitching to people, and so that's how we kind of got that foundation to be able to do what we're doing. So it started off very organically, very casual. It wasn't like, hey, I need you to do X, Y, Z. It was like, we're gonna make a show, and we both were on board and we both started working. And then Carlos is like the grant guy and I was like the drawing, get the materials kind of person. And then from there it just kind of went from one iteration to the next, and now we're at the third. So it's been a process.
It's a lot of things. I think for me, La Bestia represents this whole group of people that they really, really want to be better in their lives, like economically speaking. El Tren de la Muerte, I don't know if it's still operating right now, but I believe it carries so much stories. The show for me represents trying to, in a respectful way, trying to give context of this like story, this thing that really happened and probably still happening. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make the people aware that we are very privileged in so many ways. There are people that they cannot come to the United States because they are legal and they have to do whatever they can to be here and have a better life for themselves and for their family.
But I'm very thankful that we have gotten to the point in which we have, I think, a solid team of artists that truly understand the subject matter right now, that understand that we're doing this to shine light to a particular sector of our communities, and that we are bringing our whole self in the process to just do justice to this subject matter.
Yeah, I mean, for this show, I think we started to develop the show, with a lot of concrete ideas. But in this, last week of process, what we've really done is looked at what's working, what's not. How do we take this research and actually go and translate that to an audience? Because often the way we had been working was about linear story and chronological order. And with this version of the show, our process has been such that the artists are driving the material, whatever's in the show. And for me, my focus is on observation. What are they creating? What is the moments that really read well? And how can we use those moments as we're talking about the story of migration? So it's not about how do we portray migration? How do we, look at immigration in this way? And how do we show exactly what it is? It's more, the process has been, how do we show what it's about? And for me, my process, which is different than a lot of people's, is about observation. It's about sparking the idea, getting the artist to generate their content. What can they do really well? And how can we use that to portray this idea? So a lot of the ideas in this version of the show have come straight from the artists. So, for example, we were playing around one time, and I said to Kevin, do your unicycle moment, your choreography, and for John, I said, do your acro dance, and we had this letter that we had put in the scene, and all of a sudden, Kevin was keeping the letter away from John, and we thought it was such a funny moment, so it stayed in the show, and that actually became an entire scene. Whereas other moments that the artists are driving, for example, Taylor has this idea of reaching up, so a lot of her choreography, you see this reaching up, and it's a small little motif, but it's her driving that throughout, so for me, that's been, in this process, one of the more fulfilling parts is to let the artist bring forth the ideas, and my role has been observing what is reading, what works well, where can we put these ideas so that they read in terms of what the show's actually about, which is so different than how most people direct a show, but I think it's the right way to do it always.
So far, it's been a lot of play. It's been a lot of generating content. mostly because it's like the fourth day or whatever. So yeah, getting to know the other people, feel what their style is like and who they are, how they move, and then just like what comes naturally for the ensemble. And then yesterday and today we've like dived a little further into okay, what are the specific structures, the specific acts that are going to happen. But yeah, it's been like a lot of movement research and a lot of like connecting to videos and articles about the content and seeing how those things can be applied in like in artistic ways.
It's been a great experience. I learned so much about it actually. I feel like I knew about the subject, but I feel like as much as I'm part of the show, I'm learning more about it. And I think it's very important to create conscious about it. Yeah, just happy to be here.
There's something about people putting on a brave face to get through a tough situation that I feel like is really at the core of what this is about. And I think that really resonates with me because it's something that like everybody has to do at some point in their life, but maybe not to this scale. But this is just about people who are really making the best out of very difficult circumstances.
It's sort of like it's sort of like the culmination of a chapter of all the things that I have amassed as a theater artist, creator, educator, to put everything that I have done in service of my own community and to generate enough attention so that hopefully people would see that perspective. And it's really exciting. It's really heartwarming. I don't know how to describe it in English. To like, how lucky I actually feel that I get to do this work with people I enjoy working with in an initiative that I started like years back, and being able to like begin driving this and then take a step back and allow other voices to come in the process and to help put that punctuation marks at different places so our draft become a solid piece of art. And when I say a solid piece of art is meant for people to understand realities. It's not about perfection. It's not about the sense of prettiness. For me, is a space in which we come together as a single community to examine preconceived ideas, to take a look at issues, to take a look at each other, and find solutions to potential communal problems. So it's a nice moment in time. It's a culminating and a beginning. So like every journey, we're just in the middle.